Let's get into main topic number 1, shall we? And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Maxi S, who writes, "Hey, John and crew. I know that 2020 was an exceptional year, but still, a video game movie might have been better than the best comic book movie of the year. Of course, I am talking about Sonic. By the way, which do you think was the best comic book film of the year? New Mutants? Thanks for all you did this year, and keep on bringing the most filthy in the coming years." All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Maxi. And yeah, listen, we always talk about and joke about the fact that, you know, the curse of video game movies, death taxes, video game movies suck. It's the 3 immutable laws, the universe, and all that kind of stuff. But just to put a cherry on top of just how crazy of a year 2020 has been, it is very conceivable that a video game movie was better than any comic book movie that came out this year. And there were more comic book movies that came out this year than you think you might remember. There were more that came out than you might think. For example, let's look at this. There were actually 4 major proper traditional comic book movies that came out in 2020. And those were Birds of Prey and the Fabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, Vin Diesel's Bloodshot, New Mutants finally made it into theaters after 17 years of sitting on a shelf, and of course, just now on Christmas Day, Wonder Woman 84. So we had a number of comic book movies did just make it out. In a golden era of comic book movies, it is nearly, as Vincini would say, inconceivable that a video game movie would be decent, let alone better than any other comic book movie that came out that year. But in the year of 2020, and the crap bag that it has been, let's take a look at this. Was Sonic better than Birds of Prey? I'm not even going to address this too deeply and just say, hell yes, it was. Now, look, I say that understanding that there are a lot of people out there that really liked Birds of Prey, and that's great. I'm not trying to yuck on your yum, as Chris Carr would say. The thumbs up. I celebrate that you loved it. It was the first DCEU movie I did not enjoy. The first one that I didn't like. I thought it was pretty poor. And Sonic was actually pretty fun and delightful. I like Sonic. What about Bloodshot? You guys know I'm a big Vin Diesel fan. I love me some Vin. I love Vin Diesel. Bloodshot was not good. Bloodshot was, and again, that's a subjective opinion, granted, but you are asking me. Bloodshot was not good. It just was a bad film, and I wanted to like it so badly. Then New Mutants. New Mutants, the one that we had waited a long time for. And I'll say this. At the end of the day, New Mutants was a bad film. But it also did some interesting things in it that I walked out of the theater going, you know what? There were certain elements of that I kind of enjoyed. I mean, overall, I couldn't really recommend it. They did a number of things really bad, particularly their characters. And that's a bad start, Rob. When you start with not doing a good job with your characters, there's really no winning after that. They did some other things really well, but there was that. And then Wonder Woman 84, a movie I did not hate, but I was clearly disappointed in. And Rob, I can only speak for myself. And maybe this is a commentary of how truly decent Sonic. I didn't think Sonic was great, but it's a charming, entertaining little film. So I don't know if this is more of a commentary of just how charming and entertaining Sonic was, or if it's more a commentary on 2020, man, how bad the comic book movies were this year. But I will say for myself, Rob, when I look at the menu laid out before us, I've actually got to wonder upon wonder say a video game movie, yes, was better than any comic book movie that came out this year. I think Sonic the Hedgehog was a better movie than any of the comic book movies that came out. So I can't believe I'm saying that. You've asked me that a year ago, I would have thought it was ridiculous. But Rob, what do you think about this? Was this a year, like when you compare this film to the other comic book ones that came out, was a video game movie the best film, better than any comic book movie that came out this year? What do you think?
Well, you know me, John, I'm always talking about authorship. Like, what was the intent?
Right.
What was the intent behind what you're making? And I can't deny that not only did the filmmakers I think, make the movie they set out to make. They even listened to fans of the Sonic video game franchise and altered the look of Sonic himself or itself to make him more palatable, or it more palatable to the fans of the game. And I think that what Sonic set out to do, it absolutely succeeded at doing. And I think the other films, well, didn't. You know, I desperately wanted to love New Mutants. I was so excited for it because it was based on the Demon Bear storyline, and I just felt it was kind of like, I can't believe it. To me, truly, I hate going, meh. I hate that. I hate when people write that. I hate seeing MEH in any format. But when I saw New Mutants and I got to see it at the drive-in and at the Rose Bowl, and I was all excited. But it kind of, I finally understood for maybe the first time what meh really meant. At least to me, I don't usually have that reaction. And, you know, Bloodshot, I wanted to like Bloodshot too because I'm a fan of the Valiant universe. I just was not pleased, John. But Sonic, I actually caught up with late in the game, and it was fun. You know, I was like, okay. For what it was exactly what it was supposed to be. And I found it more entertaining to watch than the other four films, which is weird.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't think it was fantastic, but I'd be lying if I didn't tell you I walked out of the theater with a real good, solid grin on my face. I enjoyed it. And the post-credit scene was really fun and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, guys, listen, as ridiculous of a year of 2020 it is, add on top of it that I'm saying that I think a video game movie was better than any comic book movie this year. Will that ever happen again? Who knows? What do you think? Maybe you think one of those other comic book movies were better than Sonic, and you would still say that a comic book movie. But Rob, that actually raises a good question. Out of the ones that are there, out of the comic book movies that we did get, you know, Birds of Prey, Bloodshot, New Mutants, Wonder Woman 84, you know, the person who sent in the question also asked, which one do we think was the best comic book movie of the year? I hate saying this. I think New Mutants. I actually think I hated or disliked New Mutants the least. I think New Mutants is the one I dislike the least. When you look at those four films, Rob, Birds of Prey, Bloodshot, New Mutants, Wonder Woman 84, which to you was the prize of 2020 comic book movies to you?
Well, having just called New Mutants meh, I'm going to agree with you because the other, you know, what's really interesting to me is I don't know if you know Daniel Alter. He's a producer.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So Daniel tweeted that the Snyderverse is the core of the DC movie universe. Ben Affleck is the Batman. And no matter how many people try and reset this, it blows up in their faces. I agree with that. I think that what's really interesting is whether you like Man of Steel or Batman v Superman, there is a mythic quality to those films that maybe it's because Zack Snyder takes such inspiration from Alex Ross's paintings. And while I haven't, like, we like Man of Steel, I didn't love everything in Batman v Superman, but I like a lot of it. Like, I don't think it all hangs together perfectly, but individual scenes, when I watch them, I'm like, this is really, it's visionary and it has a really interesting feel to it. And it feels like other movies like Birds of Prey or what they tried to do with recutting Suicide Squad, they're always trying to move away from what Zack Snyder did. And I'm like, you know what? You guys should try and embrace it because the feel of what he's tried to do is different than the MCU. And there is a quality to it that is unique to those films. And, I think Batman v Superman, if it didn't cost as much money, they would think it was a hit. But it didn't make $1 billion because it cost like $450 million or something. And I just think that you watch Birds of Prey and I'm like, who is this movie for? Like, what audience are you going after? And I'm like, even as Harley Quinn was introduced in Suicide Squad, I'm like, is this what we want from this movie? And I keep thinking that, no, it isn't. You know, and at least New Mutants knew what it was trying to be. And while I didn't think it totally succeeded, it was enough. It wasn't insulting. I didn't think it was. I'm like, why are you doing this? I felt like they really tried to adhere to the subject matter and make a good movie out of it. But the other films I felt were they're all trying to be other movies, and it was weird.
Question is, guys, what do you think? Was Sonic, a video game movie, better than any comic book movie that came out in 2020? And which of the comic book movies that did come out to you was the best one? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys.